Morning, it's another beautiful day here on the Southern Downs. I'm just about to do some quick garden work this morning. This here is our garden. You can see everything's really taking off. It's all thriving, the weeds as well as what we've planted. I'll do a bit of a tour, why not? Here we have some chocos. This here is beetroot, which we're actually letting go to seed. Some carrots here that we have left. We've already harvested a few of those. Spring onions, leek, garlic, peas, rhubarb, some dill, cucumber that we just planted where these 3 sticks are, and yeah, 2 rows of potatoes which are really starting to take off. And yeah, this plot here, I haven't planted anything, although there's some old growth that has actually come up. We've used this plot here a few times now, so there's some potatoes that came up on their own, some Russian kale here, pumpkin plant. No, that's probably not pumpkin, not sure exactly what this was, but it came up on its own. Yeah, cabbages, some more beetroot, kale, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna be planting some more in this section here. This here is a little walnut tree, and at the back here we actually have dedicated plot for pumpkins, so there's some pumpkins that can spread as far as it wants. And at the back here we have some squash. You can see there's one, yeah, some that's already coming. So yeah, this is the garden. You see everything's really starting to take off. It is really warming up at the moment. We actually got 2 cherry trees here, a small one and a big one here. When we got this one, it was probably about this high, so it's grown really nicely. And in this little pen here, we have 2 sheep, Dorper sheep. They actually self-shearing. They lose their own wool, as you can see. So especially now as it's getting warmer, they're starting to lose a lot of that wool. Some firewood here, and yeah, underneath here there's some weed stuff growing in here that I need to clear up, but in here we have hay under here, keep it dry from the rain. There's not quite enough space, so I need to get something to cover this eventually, some grains and stuff to feed them. And yeah, this is their pen. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, these here are some beans, and oh, I completely forgot, tomatoes. Yeah, we just planted these tomato plants recently. 2 more small ones here, and what else? This one, not sure what that is. This here is a Russian leek. So yeah, that's it. That's basically the whole garden tour. Everything's really thriving now. We haven't had to irrigate yet. We've had pretty consistent rainfall this year. Not really in terms of volume of rain, but in terms of consistent scattered rainfall. It's actually been pretty good so far. And we're expecting a hotter and wetter summer than usual. And man, I'm really not looking forward to getting into summer. Today is going to get up to 32 degrees, so we're already getting some hot days, although the nights at least are still relatively cool, between 10 and 14 degrees, especially when you get relatively clear skies like that. Especially now that the growth is really taking off, there's going to be a lot more time spent out here doing some weeding, all of that. It's still relatively early in the morning. It's not too hot yet, but yeah, especially before this sun gets higher in the sky, I'm going to actually do some rotary hoeing. So yeah, keeping on top of weeds here. Most of it where we've planted, it's all just manually pulling stuff out. Like I was just using this tool earlier, just going along the edges, taking some of the weeds out. Yeah, it's all going to be manual where these little plots where we've planted, but yeah, all along the edges. And in this area here, I'm actually going to use this small rotary hoe here. I'm going to be using this little rotary hoe. It doesn't go very deep, but it's good to just keep on top of different sections of the land, weeds, all of that. So yeah, that's how I keep on top of the weeds, just pulling out manually in these garden beds, and then the areas we don't have planted, just yeah, go over every now and then. So I'm going to do that, because if I wait any longer, the weeds are really going to just take over everything. Some of these weeds are actually pretty good to have. We don't want to get rid of all the weeds, of course, like this section over here. I'm going to actually leave some of them. It can be quite useful, like no, I don't think so, but I don't think this is it. Yeah, this might be it. Similar looking to this is actually wild lettuce. That's edible. Problem we have here is actually these ones. marshmallow weeds. They you got to really pull these things out by the root, otherwise they can just really take over. I mean, you can actually, oh damn, that's slippery. Need to get that dug out. Wouldn't mind having a section where you can just let those ones grow wild. You can actually make those into a nice herbal tea, but the problem is they can really crowd out spaces and really quickly take over. You can see this part here, they've really taken over. And yeah, last summer they just were everywhere here, just growing really rapidly. So yeah, before the weeds get any higher, I want to actually go over this section, rotary hoe, just go around the edge here. I won't have time to do everything here today. I'll just go along the edges and yeah, make sure all this little stuff is cleared so that yeah, I can keep on top of the weeds. And it's still relatively early in the day. I want to do it before it gets any hotter. So yeah, let's get straight into it. and that is all the rotary hoeing done. So you can see when the weeds are really small and there's not much on the ground, it does a really good job at just working up the dirt. All these little patches of grass and weeds that were starting to grow is, yeah, pretty much taken care of. I just finished this last section with the squash and pumpkins as well. So yeah, it doesn't do a perfect job admittedly, but yeah, when it's still really small, it's good to just run over it quickly, and yeah, it just makes it so much easier to manage weeds, because having to do all this manually, especially going into summer, it's damn near impossible unless you're like in a severe drought or something, in which case nothing will grow. But yeah, you can see over here in these sections of garden bed, you can see over here in the garden beds, didn't really do a very good job here. This stuff here is already too high and thick. It doesn't really go very deep as such, so yeah, it couldn't really do much apart from flatten this a little bit, so I'll have to pull all these out manually. Over here it did a little bit better, the ground was a bit softer, so that's why when it's all small like that, that's why it's good to run over with the rotary hoe at that point, because otherwise it gets to this point and you just can't do it. You just can't do it, and the weeds will take over. During last summer it was busy, in the middle of moving, wasn't living here permanently yet, so yeah, garden was pretty much a bit of a flop because the weeds all just took over. So this year really trying to keep on top of it. We're not using any like sprays or pesticides or anything like that here, nothing to kill off the weeds or anything. So yeah, all doing it manually, the old-fashioned way. Having this thing certainly does help, and yeah, I'm well aware that there's like this whole thing of no dig concepts, of not constantly digging up the soil, because admittedly I know like digging it up like this constantly, it's not good for the soil long term, of course. And we did actually try a little bit of the whole no dig thing last summer, having like tarps all over and all that, but some of these weeds, like the marshmallow weeds, they just grow right through. You would need like really thick stuff to put over it. I'm still very new to this, still learning, open to experiment with new ideas. This is all just one big experiment. Make some more garden beds here, plant some more rows of potatoes, all of that. But yeah, overall did a really good job. I'm happy with it. The whole point here is really just it's like a hobby garden, self-sufficiency, grow some of our own vegetables. Yeah, might eventually set up a stall on the side of the road, sell any excess, but yeah, this is really just mostly growing for our own use. Some of you may have also spotted that we actually got a bit of a flat tire, as you can see. About halfway through I noticed that, still went ahead and finished the job anyway. It wasn't really much of a big deal, but yeah, this left tire here is flat, so gonna have to remove that and, you know, bring it into the workshop, get that fixed. Great that I got all the manual labor out of the way for today. I mean, yeah, even using this thing, it really does work up a sweat. You really do have to push down in some areas. It's not as easy as it looks. Certainly not like driving a tractor. And for those of you wondering, that tractor over there, unfortunately it is not ours. We are leasing the last bit of our block there to a local farmer who's planted some potatoes. That's his tractor there. Okay, that is going to do us for today. I just spent the last half an hour going through this area here, pulling all these weeds out manually. So this whole stretch here is pretty much clear. It doesn't have to be perfect as such, just to get rid of most of them. And yeah, here we have a big compost bin where we just chuck everything in, one here and also another one over there, so we can mix that all together, turn that into a nice compost, and then eventually yeah, put it back in the soil here, work it into the soil. That's the way we do things here. But yeah, the garden's starting to look much clearer now. Rotary hoeing this whole area, clearing it up a bit around here. So yeah, the worst of the weeds are definitely gone. Next step is going to just be going through each of these individually and pulling out all the weeds from amongst what we've planted. Apart from this plot here and that small plot there, we're not going to do anything else. Like, this is going to be as big as we go. I don't think it's actually going to be as hot as predicted, but it is very humid today, so I'm certainly feeling it after that. I'm really working up a sweat pulling out those weeds, so we're going to have a nice little creek plunge. Yep, we're starting to get to that time of year where going in this creek no longer feels like torture. It is still pretty cold. It's like 13-degree water at the moment, but given how hot the days are getting, it really does feel more of a reprieve when you get in rather than a punishment. I've been keeping up my creek plunges this entire year, with the exception when I was sick with Q fever. I have not missed a day, even in winter. Even on those cold, frosty mornings, still kept going in here. So that is a real accomplishment. That was a lizard. After all that weeding, this is the best thing to cool down. Right, 1, 2, 3. Nice and refreshing. I'm not going to bring the camera underwater anymore because I've noticed the last few times I've done it, it's lost a bit of its stabilization, so I don't think it's quite as waterproof as it's rated to anymore. I mean, this is an older camera now. Oh, that is nice. That is really nice. Really deserved that after that hard work weeding and rotary hoeing. I'm glad I got all the manual outdoors work done for today. That's all we'll be doing, especially now getting into summer. You really don't want to do more than just a few hours at a time. It just gets way too hot during the day. Yeah, she really wants to go for a swim. We sometimes do let her, but yeah, she has problems with her ears recently, so not letting her swim at the moment. She goes fully in, like proper swim. So yeah, not today, Lara. Not today. That's gonna do us for today. Cooled down after that nice creek plunge. Why? No one's here. Yeah, there's people watching you. Who's there? Yep, be in the best position in the sun. It's hot, it's humid, so I'm gonna go into some shelter, into some shade. I've got a lot of online work to do, assignments, catch up on some uni stuff. So now, middle of the day, hottest part of the day, it's the best time to do that. Got to plan this all strategically, especially now that we're heading into summer. So yeah, that's it. Nice productive start to the day. Apart from that, subscribe if you haven't already, give the video a like, and I'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.